Eagle. Many engines had come and gone on the Fat Controller's railway. Sometimes at night, the engines would often tell stories of the old days, and of the engines that worked then. Now one day, James was resting in the yard. He had been thinking about his past in the past couple of days. Edward passed him after his morning train. "What's wrong, James?" he asked. "I've been thinking about that story you told us the other night, and," he added, after some thought, "I was trying to remember the reason I was brought here." Edward pondered. "I can tell you about it," he said at last. "To be honest, I'm surprised you've asked me about this. But I can tell you what I can remember. From what I can recall, was that you were originally brought here as an exchange for an engine that had to return to the other railway for important reasons. It was actually built at the same locomotive works as you, and was another acquisition of your class. Eagle, we called him." "Why did he go back to the other railway?" James asked. Edward thought, and then he began. Eagle was primarily a mixed traffic engine, with 2 small wheels and 6 driving wheels in a bright shade of red. He was a hard worker, and respected by the other engines, for he was a helpful sort of engine, and helped the others whenever he could. "Helping others brings out the best in you," he would say to any engine who would listen. One day, Eagle was preparing to take a stopping train to the other end of the line. He was taking on water while he waited for Thomas, who was the station pilot at the time, to bring his coaches to the platform. When the coaches were in place and the passengers were on board, he trundled out of the siding and coupled up to the train. As soon as the guard blew his whistle, Eagle took the strain and set off out of the station, whistling to Thomas as he passed. He was soon running nicely and was out on open line. "Oh yes, this is the life," he hummed to himself as he trundled along with the coaches rumbling behind. But then his driver noticed someone on the line outside the tunnel. "Slow down, Eagle," he said. "Something seems to be wrong." There was. The guard came up to Eagle's cab. "Henry has stopped inside the tunnel. He's refusing to move an inch. We've already tried pulling and pushing, but it's no good." Maybe we can reason with him," said Eagle's driver, and he and the fireman clambered down and went with the guard to the other end of the tunnel. Henry stood at the other end, refusing to move, and surrounded by a mob of angry passengers and the fat director, and they were arguing dreadfully. Now Henry had stopped in the tunnel during a shower of rain, and was rather vain about his lovely green paint with red stripes. He was afraid that the rain would spoil his lovely coat. The 2 drivers, firemen, and guards tried to reason with him. "Come on, Henry. Look, it stopped raining." "Yes, but it will begin again soon," retorted Henry. "And what will become of my green paint with red stripes then?" There was only one option left. Eagle was uncoupled from his train and buffered up behind Henry's. And then he started to push. "Come on! Come on! Come on!" He pushed and he puffed. "Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on!" He was billowing smoke and sparks from his funnel. But it was no good. Henry wouldn't move. factor was cross. He spoke sternly to Henry. "Very well then, we shall take away your rails, and leave you here for always and always and always." They uncoupled the coaches, and Eagle pulled them out of the tunnel. The Fat Director then ordered Eagle to take Henry's train on. "But sir," Eagle asked, "what about my passengers? I can't leave them here." "Edward will take your train," came the blunt reply, and Eagle let it go at that. A few days later, Eagle was resting in the yard when the Fat Director came to speak to him. "I have just received a letter from the mainland," he told him. "It appears that they want to do a locomotive exchange, and they want me to exchange you for a new engine." Eagle was puzzled. "But why me, sir? I don't understand." "They say that they're looking for an engine of your experience to help out at the yard near Barrow-in-Furness," the Fat Director explained. "You've always been a hard worker on this railway, and I am proud of you. But I believe it's time for you to show others how experienced engines like yourself can be a credit to anyone's railway." "And I was the exchange engine?" James asked. "Exactly," said Edward. "The day after he left, you arrived on the island. I think you know the rest." James remembered. On the day he arrived, he took a goods train and got pushed down the hill into a field. And since that day, James, although being vain and boastful, proved himself to be a really useful engine. He often thought about Eagle, which often helped him in difficult times, and I can only hope, as well as you, that he will always be really useful.